A little old but gold in the pocket today. Any of you guys remember this Sprint Run? This is the military. Any of you remember? Any? All right. CPM D2. I'm not sure if they're still using that knife steel in anything, but it's a good steel. It really is. It gets very sharp with the properties of D2. So it is not considered stainless. There is some patina on this knife. You're not going to see it in this front-facing camera here. Maybe you can see some splotches and things like that where I've done some food prep. Yeah, you can see some discoloration and stuff there, a little bit of patina. But this knife was groundbreaking back in the day. At the time, it was super lightweight, and they were putting all their new test steels, doing all the sprint runs in it and things like that. And I believe they still use this model for sprint run steels. So it's a wonderful knife. I know it's not as popular as it used to be, or at least on the YouTube side. You know, a lot of knife collectors and users, I'd say, and this is just a guess, of course, but I would say like 95% of them have never logged on YouTube to see what the newest, latest, and greatest releases are, to look at knife reviews and just be in the community, right? They just buy a knife or two, they're at their sportsman shop or whatever, they buy the knife, they carry it and use it till they lose it or break it, and then they go buy another one. So I don't know if this knife is still as popular as it used to be, because this is not a knife that people just go on and talk about. I think the Paramilitary 2, the successor maybe, or the baby variant, and now the Para 3 of this design as their origin story, right? If that makes sense. So this, they put these out in a liner lock, they put them out in a tip down carry, and I will tell you why I feel like tip down carry is the only acceptable way to carry this knife, and probably other larger knives like it. If you look at this clip placement, it's not a lowrider, so this much sticks out of your pocket. It's an ugly clip. I'll give you that. Oh man, that sucker's ugly. This tab sticks out of your pocket. It's easy to grab. And then when you grab it, you pretty much, the knife falls in your hand like that, and your thumb's right here by the hole to open. Now let's think about, in contrast, if this was tip down carry, like all of the other knives, and as God intended. I'm only halfway kidding. When you pull this out of your pocket, it's such a large frame knife. Now you got to do this little jimmy thing here, and then you're there for the hole. Especially if it was a lowrider. Well, now you pull it out. Now it'd almost be better off to take your other hand and re-grip it like that. Where when it's tipped down, it just comes out of your pocket, and your thumb's right there to hit the hole. I'll be here all day, hit the hole. Anyways, very innovative design. It was one of the first knives that was a production knife, if I remember right, that had a G10 top scale. And it, at the time when they first come out, and I do have an older one, they did not have a liner in here. They now do. It's like a skeleton liner. It comes up like right here and goes down the back spacer, and it's milled into this G10. It's skeletonized in there to get the weight down. And then this liner lock is not a full length liner, it's like a partial. So this liner tab hits the bottom here, and then it swings up and ties into this back spacer here. So it's tied in nice and tight. If you ever did wear out the liner lock on your Spyderco, it would be fairly easy to take this knife apart and just put another liner lock insert inside this G10 handle, and you would have a nice brand new liner in there. You could even fabricate one yourself if you had to. So I don't know if you could, but somebody could, right? So this knife will be around for a long time. If you carried and used it every day, I don't think you could wear it out, but if you did, there's a repair option there. we all know and like the Distill Taper, the full flat grind. It's just a wonderful knife. I made a video a while back saying if you made me carry and use a knife from my collection for the rest of my life, that would have been without a doubt the Military. I don't know, 10 years later, I don't know if that's quite the case. I might be more leaning towards like a Chris Reeve large something, you know, a large 21, a large 31, the large 25 or something like that. But this would still be in the top 3 contenders. It is so lightweight for how much blades you get. They come in so many different blade steel options that you're going to find something that you like. The idea that you could drop a new liner in here to fix your liner lock issue. The way the ergos on this knife are, you guys all know and love them from the Para 2 and the Para 3. You know, it just works. The hole works with gloves on. The cutout here works with gloves on to release the liner. It's just a very glove-friendly knife, if that matters to you. So, blade's nice and centered. I don't think it's a perfect design. There's a lot of things it does right. One of the things that's always, you know, kind of got to me about this design is why they didn't just put more blade in there or shorten up the handle a little bit. This blade tip, when it closes, comes about right to that lanyard. You could grind off a 1/2 inch of this handle and not have that tip exposed. So if you're looking for blade to handle ratio, this knife isn't the best at it, but it is super ergonomic. You can get a lot of leverage when this comes up into your palm in any cut that you would need. And then of course, the way it has that aggressive negative blade angle, we all know. I don't need to repeat it in every video, but it's so nice. This, you got a large straight portion here with a nice rounding belly, a nice sharp tip. You're not going to want to pry with this, but it does so many things so well. You can food prep with this, no problem. You can EDC this with no problem, depending on if you're legally allowed to carry a knife this large. Just as a reference to a palm of the hand, it does stick past there. I know that is kind of a myth, or maybe some officers really use it. Can't be longer than the palm of your hand. I'm not sure what your state is, but just for reference. In North Carolina, a lot of people do carry knives. So it's, if I was carrying this even at work and pulled it out and went to cut a box open or something, they might be like, oh, you got a knife there. But it wouldn't be like, holy, that's a huge knife. I mean, not most people. And if I ever was in a situation where I felt like I had to do that, I would just pop it open like that. Not even expose the whole blade. And I still do that sometimes. You guys ever do that? Open it just a little bit, cut the tape on your box, and then close it right back up. Like, it doesn't need to come all the way open and locked to cut the tape to open up your Amazon. I do that a lot. Anyways, just a great knife. It's fun rediscovering your old knives. I've always said it. I mean, I've found like a handful of about 5 knives that are like my perfect EDCs. The rest are just for fun and for hobby, you know, and I think most of us probably are there. This is part of the fun, is just trying out new things. But what do you guys think? Is this the only acceptable tip down knife, or did I still not prove the case that it's just not acceptable ever to have tip down? I think that is the case most time, but this is the only time you can have a tip down knife, in my opinion. Spyderco Military, or maybe other larger frame knives, because that's going to apply whether this was a thumb stud or a hole. The frame gets too long and now you're doing weird stuff to try to get to the right. It's just not as, you know. So anyways, that is the Spyderco Military, the grandfather to the Para 2, the Para 3. And I still love this knife. I really do. And it pairs up well with a slip joint or a Swiss Army knife or any other smaller knife. Maybe a little coin pocket knife, the little watch pocket. That's it, guys. I appreciate you hanging out.